Hermann Günther Grassmann was born on April 15, 1809, in Stettin, Kingdom of Prussia, which is modern-day Poland. Hermann was the third of 12 children. His father was an ordained minister, but taught mathematics and physics at the Stettin Gymnasium. Hermann was an unremarkable student, and his father encouraged him to pursue a manual trade until he scored highly on his final examinations. At 18, Hermann went to Berlin to study theology. The trip from Stettin to Berlin was similar in direction and distance to traveling from Minneapolis to New Ulm. Hermann didn't study mathematics in Berlin. It wasn't until after he returned home from university, at the age of 21, that he took an interest in math, and prepared himself to sit the examinations necessary to become a schoolteacher. Like his grades in school, his first examinations were unremarkable, but he did score well enough to teach lower grades, and was able to obtain a position as an assistant teacher at the Stettin Gymnasium. In the following years, he moved to a position at the Gewerbeschule in Berlin, and then back to Stettin to teach in the new Ottoschule. During these early years as a teacher, Grassmann began to develop new mathematical ideas he called Ausdehnungslehre, or linear extension theory. He was able to apply these ideas in 1840 when he retook the examinations necessary to teach upper-level classes. He was required to submit a paper on the theory of tides in which he described tides in terms of vectors and vector operations. 4 years later, at the age of 35, he published a book in which he expanded his Ausdehnungslehre. The book was misunderstood and largely ignored. Historians describe it as unconventional and difficult to read, or abstract and long-winded. Hermann eventually obtained the position of Oberlehrer at the Friedrich Wilhelm Schule in Stettin, but earnestly desired a position teaching at university. He was denied a position when one of the reviewers commented that his writings contained commendably good material expressed in a deficient form. At the age of 40, he was married to Teresa Canapa, with whom he fathered 11 children. In 1852, his father died, and he was appointed to fill his father's position. This finally gave Hermann the title of professor. In 1862, he rewrote his Ausdehnungslehre, but it was no better received. For the remainder of his life, he turned most of his attention to the study of historical linguistics, and received significant recognition for his work in Sanskrit. Hermann died of a heart problem in 1877 at the age of 68. Hermann Grassmann lived as an outsider, looking into the world of mathematics. He was neither formally trained nor accepted by the mathematicians of his day. Despite his repeated efforts, the importance of his mathematical work went largely unrecognized for most of his life. In the preface to his 1862 version of Ausdehnungslehre, Grassmann acknowledges the frustration of his work with a hopeful look toward the future. I remain completely confident that the labor I have expended on the science presented here, and which has demanded a significant part of my life, as well as the most strenuous application of my powers, will not be lost. It is true that I am aware that the form which I have given the science is imperfect, and must be imperfect. But I know and feel obliged to state, though I run the risk of seeming arrogant, that even if this work should again remain unused for another 17 years, or even longer, without entering into the actual development of science, still, that time will come when it will be brought forth from the dust of oblivion, and when ideas now dormant will bring forth fruit. I know that if I also fail to gather around me, as I have until now desired in vain, a circle of scholars whom I could fructify with these ideas, and whom I could stimulate to develop and enrich them further, yet there will come a time when these ideas, perhaps in a new form, will rise anew and will enter into a living communication with contemporary developments, for truth is eternal and divine. History was kind, and indeed we can now see how close Hermann Grassmann came to single-handedly creating a new branch of mathematics, which we now call linear algebra.
Created using Powtoon.